there, somewhere under there. Hopefully in the half light you could see that the little stray charis is now fully integrated. I had him sitting on my lap earlier today. He's really sort of becoming one of the cat community here. One moment. The old solar isn't working particularly well. We've had, I suppose, 48 hours of rain, and set to rain today again, and tomorrow. It is what it is. It reflects that somehow this feels like a period of more, shall we say, in the discomfort, but this is the thing, this is what fearless is all about. It's having the courage. Courage is a very key word here when you see our age, when you find it inside yourself. That inner strength, that fearlessness is the courage. When you can sit through the discomfort, knowing that it's leading to something better. For example, on a personal level, I have this period of discomfort, I suppose a little bit of impatience really, because I am anticipating some big expenses, and so I need to take active steps to address that. And active steps I will actually show to you as we progress in this video, how they are shown to us. It's quite amazing the way this all came about, and partly inspired by somebody I have been in conversation through emails backwards and forwards with, very inspiring, and also has helped prompt this video. So the active steps, it's like, well, what can I do? Well, I can certainly offer further tarot card readings on a one-to-one basis. Check the links in the description, all the details are there. If you are struggling in any way, come and talk to me, and let's give you a new perspective on things. I mean, I could, as an example of this, I could look at today as in a very negative way of, it's cloudy, I'm not getting the solar power. But we adjust to the situation. So it's a time of contemplation as much as anything else. So if you're suffering from anxiety or depression, panic attacks, talk to one that has already been through and has had the experience of such things and has come out to the other side. There is also mentorship that I offer on a one-to-one basis if you'd like that as well. So now we get on to the topic proper about this video, and how the active steps are shown. I don't know how many of you are aware of this. I have a very strong affinity with the composer Anton Bruckner. Something came to me to add in a few videos to give you more of a feel of the environment that he lived and worked in, which centers a lot around St. Florian Monastery in Austria, in a place called Linz. Now, as I was listening to one of these videos, I'll put the link in the description. It's an introduction to Anton Bruckner, and you can find the videos on St. Florian towards the latter part of that playlist. But what got my attention in in St. Florian, there is what is known as the Bruckner Organ. It's so called because he made certain suggestions, improvements to the organ, which are still there today. It's a magnificent musical instrument, and it has no less than 7,343 pipes. That is what got my attention. Because straight away I thought, hold on, Archaic's channel was mentioned about the number 7344. This is one short. But too much, and the fact that it had got my attention, thought I need to consider this further. Now, first off, we have a musical instrument which uses exactly the same word as for the inner workings of the physical body, i.e. the organ. There's a clue there for a start. But let's just turn for a moment to the number 7344. It is 61 times the number 108, and it is 68 times the number 108, and it is 51 times the number 144. 7344 is the number of years from the start of the Anuna chronology to the year 2106, the return of the chief cornerstone. But also, if you look at the number 7344, you split it in half. You add the 7 and the 3 together, you've got 10. You add the 2 4s together, you have the number 8. So you have the number 108. If you are familiar with what Archaic's has shown about the significance of the number 108, particularly with the Great Pyramid of Giza, well, you'll know straight away how important that number is. And also, it encodes the number 9, which is completion, because you add 1 and the 8 together, you discount the 0, so the 1 and the 8 becomes 9. 144, if you add those together, also makes 9, another significant number. Incidentally, yesterday, I think it was, I switched the phone on and it was 11:44. When I switched it off again, it was 44% battery. When I switched it on again, it was, I think it was 144. The numbers just keep being shown to me all the time. But getting back now onto this 7344 and the 7343 pipes of St. Florian Bruckner Organ. The Bruckner Organ has 103 stops, working stops. I'm not sure if that is the total number, that I've not been able to find out, but that's interesting because it's half of 206. So if we take a calendrical year of, say, 2000 up to 2106, that is going to give you 206. So you could say the 103 reflects going halfway. To go that halfway, to get to the organ loft of this Bruckner organ, requires climbing 58 steps. Well, straight away in that I see 5 and 8 together makes 13. But I also see in that 5 as in referencing the senses, either internally or externally, and also the 8, which reflects infinity. In a physical sense, you could say that humanity has infinity through reproduction. So climbing or ascending those 58 steps, you come to the Bruckner organ with these 7,343 pipes. Now the organ of itself can do nothing. It requires that organist, that great composer Anton Bruckner, to ascend those 58 steps, because he, if you think in terms of the oneness, so all the organs within our body are contained within one organ, one living organ, which is the 7,344th part, which goes with the pipes, because you need the organist to actually physically play the organ for those 7,343 pipes to actually emanate any sound. So there's the active part being shown. It's interesting as well when we look at the Bruckner Symphony number 9, it's given the catalogue number VVAB 109, but the incomplete fragments of the finale were at one time numbered in the catalogue as 143. So there's one short of 144, but then now it is being realised, and it is a complete 4-movement symphony. It becomes 109, which is one more than 108. So you've gone from one less to one more, so it balances out with that 108 and that 144. Now the second part, I feel actually, just to go over that with St. Florian, I feel what that actually reflects is far more than it would first appear. Yes, it's a monastery, yes, it's a cathedral, yes, it has its religious aspect to it, but far more central to this epicenter of St. Florian is its magnificent library. I think it's something like 160,000 books, the beautiful paintings, the fact that art is very much at the core of this structure, the fact that Bruckner is actually interned in the crypt under the Bruckner Organ is also hugely significant. Rudolf Steiner explains that if a human body cannot go through the natural process of disintegration after the spirit has separated from the matter, and that has passed the threshold of death, if the body is not allowed to naturally disintegrate, then that soul cannot reincarnate and therefore is still here. Bruckner requested upon his death that his body be embalmed and basically pumped with formaldehyde. And basically you have the physical corpse over 100 years later in basically a tin box. But what does that actually say? What is Bruckner really saying here? Because he's not been buried, he's not been cremated, the physical body is still here, therefore his soul cannot return. So what I feel he is actually saying, he's basically saying this is a stalemate. Because whilst I give myself to the Almighty, I am not giving myself to the God as sort of implied by the Roman Catholic Church. So he's not given himself over. Therefore, his energy is still here. And I refer you to what the organist of St. Florian has said about the mystery phone call from Tony. I would say that goes a long way to saying that Bruckner is still very much alive today. His presence is there. I would love to go to St. Florian and actually, as much as anything else, see if I can move beyond that initial outward wow factor of the beauty of the building and all the fantastic art and the amazing book collection, and penetrate beyond that surface level and actually be able to detect the presence of Bruckner, because I feel he is very much there. To me, it has been shown countless times now where something has said to me, put the radio on, and there has been a Bruckner symphony playing. It's just amazing the way the communication comes. So on to the second part now. The question that was put to me was, should we judge an artist by their conduct in their lifetime? I would say that already happens in this reality. When you consider that during the 19th century that it was not the done thing for a woman to be a poet or a writer or an artist that could have a a professional career in whatever art medium they are so drawn to. How many female artists, be it music, poetry, or painting, whatever, that we are denied any knowledge of and are not able to see for ourselves and see if we can get anything from what they've created. Because an artist puts heart and soul into what they create. Therefore, they impart part of their energy into their creation. Art is creation. It comes from the imagination. It is an expression of the art spirit, the almighty creator. Whether you want to see that as a male or a female, it doesn't actually matter. It's beyond any of that. But the question is actually far greater than that, because we did the way society is. It is very much that we have judged that the female of the species is not on a par with the male of the species, which is ridiculous when it comes to art and creativity. But regardless of the sex of the artist, consider how many potential artists they may have been that were never given the chance to read or write, and what humanity possibly has lost out on, the potential that could have been there that wasn't able to impart the inspiration because they had no access to paper, they had no ability to write or whatever. But should we judge an artist on their conduct? I would say no. I would say that's to be expected, because for there to be this creative genius, I would have thought would create some sort of imbalance with the physical being in the time scale that they were in. I feel that they were answering a calling, and the art sort of basically consumed them, this desire to express what has been imparted to them. After all, an artist is just basically a medium of the art spirit to bring something into this reality. None more so than with music, because music is just dots on a stave lines on paper, until there is the human interaction to bring life to it, to lift those sounds, as it were, off the paper. So I feel it is best to go into something and just let the art, the creation of that artist, speak for itself initially. But I do feel it is then worth looking into the lives of the artists to expand our knowledge. I feel it can help unlock a lot of things. I'm going to cite, for example, Anton Bruckner. My perception of his cycle of symphonies is, shall we say, a sonic autobiography as much as it is a guide to humanity from cradle to the grave and beyond that. But it is also imparting far more that requires going beyond the just hearing the music to really immerse yourself in the feeling. So the symphony cycle is actually threefold in what it is showing. I feel that Bruckner knew this quite early on, and it's often commented on how he wrote mostly symphonies and very little else. Well, it's because he was answering his calling, as I would say to that. You'll also, if you look into his life, you'll come up with a lot of idiosyncrasies. One of them that is often cited is about his so-called counting neurosis. And it's always seen in a negative context. But how about Bruckner was a renowned organist and improviser. You've only got to listen to the symphonies and you can count the repeated phrases and things. Numbers are hugely significant to Bruckner. So what is seen as a counting neurosis when he stops and counts the number of leaves on a tree or the number of bricks in the wall of a building, I feel is just his way of implanting what he has seen in a numeric code which he can then relay in the symphonies themselves. As Sir Simon Rattle has noted, Bruckner is unusual that when he wrote a symphony, that he would actually write out all the bar lines. He knew exactly how many bars he wanted each of the four movements to be in a given symphony before he's even put one single note on those stave lines. He was meticulous in numbering the bars. He was meticulous in dating when he started writing a symphony and when he ended it. So the numbers are hugely significant into the way Bruckner would see the world, how he would then translate it basically into a numeric code inside himself, which he would then impart to the world through the medium of the symphony. You could say that the symphonies, in a way, are basically an organ work, but it would be very impractical to get that message out to humanity if it was just done on the organ. So this, I feel, is why Bruckner used the symphony orchestra to express what he wanted to express. The art spirit was very much working through him. To be able to write that finale of the Ninth Symphony, his health was failing, and he had 3 occasions where he would had the last rites read to him, only to then make a miraculous recovery. I feel that those experiences, he had to go through those to impart and at least give you probably the most accurate definition as one can in pure sound, without words, of what comes beyond death. That is what I take from that Ninth Symphony finale. It's very otherworldly in what it is showing. You may not agree. After all, art is subjective. I'm just giving you a personal account of my impressions, what I've taken from it. I just find it amazing that where this has all led, this being drawn to this music of Anton Bruckner, and what it is imparting, right down to the number of organ pipes in St. Florian as an example, how the numbers come into their own as a way of expression. But it comes also back to that the Word was made flesh. So maybe the Word, I would suggest here, is also then externalized in the creation through art, not necessarily vocalized words. But you can certainly get so much more that go beyond words by immersing yourself in these symphonies, of allowing the artist to impart what they have put heart and soul in. If you're on the right frequency, it will reveal an awful lot to you. I feel it's definitely a beautiful experience to go through when you can find an artist that you feel an affinity to and you feel so drawn to, and then the magic that comes out of it. Another perfect example of this would be Robert Henri, the American painter, who incidentally would paint pictures while his wife played themes from Wagner on the piano. He sort of drew inspiration from that, but there's a playlist on this channel called Robert Henri, The Art Spirit, It's an audio book. It gives you a wonderful, fresh perspective on how to approach creating a visual image, what the eye actually sees, and how to interpret it and how to put it on the paper. Generally, most people will start with putting in the minute details and expanding outwards, where the better approach is to start with the background and work forward. But the message is far more than how to draw or how to paint. It is pretty much an esoteric message, so I invite you to check out that playlist as well. So, what I'm visioning, and I know will come, but as and when it comes and shows itself physically, I know not. But that is basically where Wahnfried can be found, where freedom from madness can be found. I have a name in mind for it, which is El Tom Setab, which is Bates Motel backwards, basically. Rather than trying to take a quick fix by running off through theft with money and end up getting murdered in the shower, to escape without taking the shortcut, to find a newfound inner peace by blending art and nature, spirits, music. Ultimately, it would be lovely to have a resident string quartet or something. Where this retreat will be, I have no idea, but I have visioned it, I have created it in the mind, so now let's start taking the active steps. So coming back full circle to the start of this video, do check out the description, what I can offer you, ways I can help you. It also helps gain far more experience, so when this retreat does become a physical reality, it's going to give me a lot more experience to help a lot more people, and it will be beautiful to actually get a community of like-minded souls on the same frequency to actually get this off the ground, as it were. So in a way, I suppose I am also asking for potential sponsorship here. But I feel this is a venture definitely worth doing, because I feel it will help so many. And it will open up a whole new way of seeing this reality out of it. Anyway, I hope this has made sense. I hope this has given you ways of applying to your own life. If something really stands out to you, consider why. What is actually, is it coming from your heart that is actually sending a message to say, you want to pay attention to this, this is why you're being shown it. This reality is a reflection on which to find things. It's also a reality in which to see the contrast, to sit through the discomfort. That's where the true fearlessness comes, the ability to sit through the things that seem less pleasant and find strength in that, which will pull you through, because after this weather has passed, it will be sunshine again. There's no worries about that not returning. But also have to consider the balance with nature, that there can be, like last year, about 4 months with no rain. You have to consider nature itself. It needs water. It needs that flow. We also need to find that flow inside ourselves. So as always, unconditional love to you all.